Hello and welcome back to my airline on AirlineSim, British Atlantic Airways. And boy oh boy has it been a interesting week. So not only have I been ill off the game, I've been caught with quite a bad bout of tonsillitis. Stopped me from really recording any videos for a while. I did want this video out a little bit sooner. But in game as well, lots of things have happened that I need to discuss. So, first things first, I had my weekend closing, my first one, which was about nearly a week ago now, and I completely messed up the financials of it. So what I did was I was focusing on the weekend closing here, but I completely forgot that an hour later I had 10 leasing payments. So I made sure I had enough to cover this, but not cover that, which meant I did have a Boeing 737-800 repossessed. Bit of a whoopsie. Within 24 hours, I had a 757 come in and replace all the flights that I lost with that 737. So we quickly move on. We forget. Act like that never happened. And the week financials was a 4.5 million profit in my first week. However, keep in mind that there was no leasing installments in that week, so 37%. Would I say it's not the best margin I've ever had in the game, but at least I'm doing okay. So far this week, it's up to 7.4 million. And my expansion has been pretty steady. I'm up to 33 planes now. I've been mixing them up. I'll go into that in a second. Other things that have happened is the player who plays British Guys, my main competitor, he actually messaged me with a bit of advice about the British market. And everything, which was nice of him. So it's going to be sort of friendly rivalry, I think. He's up there behind me with 28 planes at the moment. So I don't think, it's nice to have competition, but I don't think we're going to be fiercely rivals, even though it is nice to be rivals, obviously. But friendly rivalry there. And I also have been in contact with PK Global, or the guy who runs those airlines called Beam Air. He's been offering me cheap leases. And he also sort of offered me gate space at Heathrow with one of his terminals. So if I go to Leicester here, so anyone that's been as Evolian leasing, that is from him. So he's given me a few planes there. Is that all of them, or is that just on that page? Hang on. No, that's all of them. So I'm a bit wary. I don't want to get too many from him, even though these planes are dirt cheap. I do have a few more on bid from him coming in, so a couple more 757s will be coming in for that. But yeah, so I've had an aircraft repossessed. I've had a bit of contact with my main rival, and PK Global's offered me some terminal space. So I do have 62,000 of my 94,000 being handled by him now, so better ratings, I suppose. Alternatively, the other news is the slots at Heathrow are just getting absolutely hammered, and it's a mixture of me and British Guys obviously getting bigger, expanding quickly. We also had a Turkish airline set up a weird cargo airline out of LHR, sort of running with old bits of metal there. Not really sure exactly what his game plan is there. But he's taken 174. There's also an airline called Temp something. I don't know, it might have been International Cargo Solutions, I'm not sure. Yeah, and then we also have a couple of other competitors set up. So we've got Beta Glees. Sorry if I'm butchering that name. I think it's a star. I think is what he's named it after. He set up with 6 A320neos. He's now got 7, so he is an active player. Mr. John _Franklin here. So yeah, he's been online today. So yeah, he set up. He's on a different route to me in British Skies, where we've got older planes. He's just set up with 7 A320neos, and he's just there plucking away nicely. Excuse me. And there's also an airline based out of Gatwick called FlyK. Now they've got 18 planes. They set up a few days ago, but since then they've not really done anything. So they haven't been online for nearly a week. So I don't think they're going to be around much longer. But yeah, so it looks like there's 3 active airlines in the UK. Me, British Skies, and this Betelgeuse airline there. Which is all exciting. So the plans going forward. So my fleet's a little bit of a mess and I don't like it. So if I go to info page here, excuse me, I've got 757s, I've got 737s, I've got the old classics thrown in there as well. I've got quite a few classics and a random Airbus A319. Now, I am someone who's a little bit OCD. I do like to have a sort of structure to my fleet. I like the idea of having smaller planes going to where they should be, higher capacity planes. Now, I foresee a world in the future where, Heathrow will be mainly sort of A321s. That's kind of where I want to get to. And I think an all Airbus fleet is eventually what I'm going to go for. Just because I like the Airbus A320 family more. It does also have the LR and the XLR if needed, although I've heard they're not as great as people make out in real life on the game because they're quite slow. So scheduling them is quite difficult. So I foresee a world where my Heathrow fleet will be sort of mainly wide bodies and Airbus A321s. Now, one of the subjects I was speaking to British guys about was when LHR gets full, it'll be interesting to see what me and him do straight afterwards. Because obviously there's more than one airline. More than one airport in the UK. There's obviously Gatwick, there's Stansted, Manchester, as sort of the next main 3. Now, I've not really made my mind up yet, but I'm thinking I'm probably just going to go for Gatwick next. We'll probably speak to British guy, see what he's doing after this lots of Heathrow go. But yeah, as I said before, I was raised plane spotting at Gatwick. My dad literally lived about a 10-minute walk away from the airport. So yeah, I'd love to have a hub out there. I mean, I think Gatwick's fair game. I don't know what British guys are going to say. I think we should keep Heathrow and Gatwick as fair game competition. If he wants to discuss sort of a realistic split of the rest of the airports, then maybe we can do that. But that's for the future. So for now, I've got 4 planes to schedule. They're all going to be Heathrow based. I think this 737-800 is going to be going to Bucharest in Romania, Athens, and Naples, I think, is what this one's going to do. This 757 is interesting. I'm debating whether to send that over to Toronto, because I was speaking to PK Globe and he was basically saying how we need to sort of cooperate. So basically, PK Global is such a big airline, right? He basically controls the entirety of the transatlantic market. I don't really know. So this is just one of his airlines. If I do sort of medium haul, it's going to just be a sort of, or long haul maybe. I mean, it's a bit hard to see there, but that's Europe, that's America. So he controls the whole of it, and he's got, wide bodies with the best seats, the best service. Like if I shove a 757 over there with the old ratings and poor seat service, like my plane's just not going to fill up. And he was basically mentioning that to me. And maybe we can work together later on in the future about that. But he doesn't have direct flights to Canada, obviously, because he's based in the US, not Canada. So, and I also believe, I don't think there's many Canadian airlines actually on the game at the moment. There's Air Canada there, who's doing quite well for themselves. But I could get a flight into Toronto. There's lots of slots there. Is it just Toronto? I'm not very good at my airports. There's Ottawa. Was it Montreal? And there's one on the other side, isn't there? God, my geography is terrible. But the one near Seattle is that? I can't remember. But yeah, I'm debating whether putting the 757 over to Canada or the Middle East, sort of Doha, Dubai, that sort of thing. Again, this is an old 757. It's not going to have good ratings, but I think I want to get a few long haul flights in, because eventually I will just replace it with a 787 or something. These two here are just going to fill in gaps in my European network. So it's a 737-400. I'm probably gonna sort of maybe do like Hamburg and Stuttgart. Well, maybe not Stuttgart, actually. There's one thing I've noticed with Europe on this game world is Europe is oversaturated and heavily oversaturated. And I've not really seen anything like it, to be honest with you. So if I get, let's look at Germany, for example, right? So if you go to Hamburg, so I was like, I'll do a flight to Hamburg. 7% Florence Air in terms of slots. Right, then I was like, Stuttgart. Stuttgart's an airport which British Airways flies to constantly. 2%. STR Kongs and Florence Air have just a random massive. No, bearing in mind, Florence Air has a big hub in Hamburg and a big hub in Stuttgart in Germany, right? So just keep that in mind, right? And then I was like, what about Berlin? I think Berlin's not too bad. Berlin's 5%. So STR Kongs has 2 hubs in Germany. Florence Air has 2 hubs in Germany, right? Keep going through the airports. Let's go Munich. 2 completely different airlines, but again, low slot numbers. That's TUI Airlines on that one. Where's Frankfurt? Frankfurt is Florence Air again. So Florence Air has 3 huge hubs in one country, and those hubs must be connecting the same passengers to the same airport, so they're just eating into themselves. That's what I say anyway. On top of that, if I go to Luxembourg, Luxembourg, right next to it, Bafi Air has 3,259 flights out there. So you see, let's go Dusseldorf, right? 18, again, STR Cons fly Germany there. And then Cologne, 8%, another Florence Air hub. So Florence Air has 4 huge hubs in the same area of Europe. Just in one country. And I don't know if he's got any other. If he has any others. And then obviously you've got that Luxembourg one with Bafia. You go to like Geneva, right? 1% slots left in there, right? Okay, I want to do a flight to Basel. 0% Bafia. So Bafia has a huge European hub there and a huge European hub there. So what are they doing? Are they connecting passengers from Paris down to Italy there, and then from Paris over to Germany? Like, oh, all of these eating into each other. I have absolutely no idea. You know, and then you can go, obviously, Zurich, Turkish Airlines. So Turkish Airlines, I believe, has a huge hub there. And then I think it was Munich, was it? I think Munich was Turkish Airlines again. Was it Frankfurt as well? Turkish Airlines. So in this sort of space of Europe here, Turkish Airlines has 3 major hubs. And I don't know how they're doing passengers wise. I know we're in sort of a high Ajax period. But one has to suspect that when that Ajax goes low, when demand goes lower into the lower months, sort of in about 6 months' time, that some of these airlines aren't going to survive. And that's just, I've just looked at, all I've done there is I've looked at Germany, Luxembourg, and Switzerland. Like, you know, I can't remember who's the airline out of Charles de Gaulle. Terracom Airlines again. I know. You can probably say, you know, it's got big O&D demand, which will help him. And then all he's got Air Hexagon. But even was it Nice? I was trying to get slots in Nice. No, it wasn't Nice. Was it Marseille? Marseille, and there's an airline there with 3,000. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's okay now, but there's, in my opinion, let's go to Italy. In my opinion, let's go to Milan. Let's go to Milan Airport. So Milan, Malpensa, Florence Air Hub, great. So another one in the same area. Milan Lante. Looks like Aero Stivali. He's got their little airline there. I say little airline, it's probably not a little airline, is it? And let's look at Rome. Turkish Airlines. Turkish Airlines has, I'd hate to think, like in just this area of Europe, has about 7 hubs. And eventually that's got to catch up with them, surely. Yeah, it's just a little bit of a rant there. But in previous worlds that I've gone in, and I've been in many previous worlds before, that sort of situation in Europe sorts itself out after a couple of years. So every time there's a low Ajax, one of the big players goes. And it's the same again, and it's the same again until there's only a handful of airlines in Europe. And they're all spaced out, and they're all... they all have their own space in the market. But anyway, rant over. Sorry for that there, but you know, it's all interesting. It's all interesting stuff. Yep. So this will be Athens, Bucharest, and Naples. This may be Toronto. I might change it to better seating and get it over to Toronto and try and in-line with the guy there. These two are going to be filling in gaps in my European network. Like I've got Gibraltar, that might be a good one to do. Knock is another one I've not done. Billund, I've got Antalya, Ankara. I've got some German airports, Italian airports like Valencia and not Valencia, Venice and things like that. So the other Milan airport, that sort of thing. So that's what I'm going to do there. So yeah, interesting week. Sorry about my voice. It was all very exciting. I'd say the next few updates are literally just going to be me and British Skies getting all the slots at LHR. Then the next chapter after that will be whatever the next airport is we go to. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you did watch this far, you're a legend. Many thanks. And I will be posting my next episode shortly. I'm going to be trying to do 2 a week. So if you're in this world, drop us a message in game. I probably won't ever show the messages on the videos, just for my own security and your security. But yeah, thank you very much. On to the next one. Take care. Bye bye.